staying with us, the World Health Organization is warning Africans against using untested remedies to cure the coronavirus. The body says Africans deserve access to medicines that have gone through proper trials, even if they are derived from traditional treatments. It made this known in a statement following the Madagascan president's promotion of a herbal tonic for treating COVID-19 patients. The tonic, known as COVID Organics, was tested on fewer than 20 people over a period of 3 weeks, which is in line with WHO guidelines on clinical trials. It can be a lengthy process in which a potential drug is tested in 4 phases, scaling up from a trial on a small number of patients to using it on a population countrywide. Despite this reservation, several African countries, including Guinea-Bissau, Equatorial Guinea and Liberia, have already ordered COVID Organics, which is produced from the Artemisia plant, the source of an ingredient used in a malaria treatment and other Malagasy plants. The Human Rights Advancement, Development and Advocacy Center has released its fact sheet on the coronavirus pandemic. In the report, which focuses on human rights during the pandemic, it advises governments to look at early interventions such as introduction of a lockdown, an aggressive enlightenment campaign about social distancing, improving on the numbers and quality of its public health services, and provide the needed political and technical leadership to get people's trust to comply with its directives. It, however, recommends a regional strategy in the management of the coronavirus, leveraging on peer learning and cooperation, the sharing of expertise, professional personnel, treatment, vaccines and other equipment, and that governments ensure that in the use of state of emergency powers, the treaties or obligations are complied with, including notifications of treaties bodies, plus that deliberate investment be made towards safeguarding the dignity and bodily integrity of women and children, and gender indicators that measure the deliverables that directly impact the lives of women and children is a prerequisite to its development. Let's talk to Huridac's Executive Director, Mr. Ayodele Amin. He joins us from London. Thank you so much for joining us on the program.
Thank you very much.
So about how many reports of human rights violations have been reflected in this report, and how does it impact on the fight against the coronavirus pandemic?
Okay, let me start by saying that in the first instance, government actually struggle in terms of how to manage this pandemic, and I'm balancing that with also complying with their international obligation under human rights. The report was able to highlight in clear terms that there are provisions in the international human rights framework that allow government to limit the human rights of their citizens, or to suspend the obligation, human rights obligation in certain areas, not all. Article 4 of the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights actually make this provision that certain rights can be limited for certain purpose. Also, you have Article 62 of the UDHR that actually link towards the same. And you also have soft laws like the Vienna Convention of Law of Treaties, Article 62 of that, and also allows states to actually suspend the obligation due to fundamental change in circumstances. The International Labour Organization also actually gave a permission for states to suspend the obligation for unforeseeable event. So you could see actually that limiting our right to movement might be in tandem with the government obligation to protect our right to life. So that should be taken. But however, the same international human rights framework actually restrain government for limiting certain rights. And those rights were called non-derogable rights. And non-derogable rights cannot be suspended, cannot be limited under any circumstances, whether state of emergency, or whether crisis response, you can't. And such rights include right not to be tortured. So the international human community does not allow any state to torture his citizen under any circumstances, right not to go into slavery, right to due process. You must be taken before a law court, and right not to be discriminated against. So this right cannot be limited despite management of this pandemic, which actually shows why it is very important for Human Rights Commission, human institutions, society to monitor compliance of government to this, which I think the report of Nigerian Human Rights Commission was very good in actually highlighting to the security forces that you can't be committing torture, you can't be committing this violation despite the emergency powers and despite the pandemic. So this we actually reflected it in the report.
Mr. Ayodele, I mean, there's so much to look into here, and I think you've given us a pretty round-up idea of what this report is about. But unfortunately, we've run out of time. But thank you so much for joining us on Network Africa, Mr. Ayodele Amin, who's the executive director of HURADAX. Now, the UN mission in South Sudan is partnering with the newly formed Citizens Task Force on COVID-19 to create awareness of its dangers and how they can combat the virus whilst protecting themselves and the people around them.
The newly formed task force is made up of citizens from every walk of life in South Sudanese society. They came together after they saw there was a need to address the misconceptions about the virus.
Are you talking about the coronavirus disease?
Their partnership with UNMISS takes the form of a 14-day outreach event using a promo truck which rides around Juba, the capital, and throughout the country, broadcasting messages in local languages.
We're using the standard messages approved by WHO, which mainly focuses on washing hands. What we're doing is we contextualize that and make sure that at least we inform the people about the importance. And we also emphasize the importance of social distance and taking in consideration the culture in South Sudan. We feel that social distance as per se may not be understood by our people. Therefore, what we do is we go into details and tell them that it means you don't have to be close to people, at least keep a distance of 2 meters away from the next person.
The messages the truck plays have been given out by the World Health Organization. The Citizens Task Force has contextualized them so that residents understand why they're being told to do certain things.
One of the biggest challenges that we have observed, and being a South Sudanese, is that it takes my people long to accept, and the myth that had been there has confused a lot, and there's so much miscommunication in society. Some people think COVID-19 is not about them, it's a foreign thing, and it's a disease that will not affect them as South Sudanese. Others are saying you take strong tea in the morning, which is all wrong. And what we are saying is that we are all human, and COVID-19 affects everybody.
There are 35 confirmed cases of COVID-19 in South Sudan. America just says they have had challenges in trying to dispel the myths and beliefs.
UNMISS is travelling right around the country. We're going to places like Leah, Ding Ding, but from Malakal right down to Yambio, across to Wau, and right down into the eastern Equatoria. We have the same message in the languages that people understand, which is keep safe, keep your distance, wash your hands, all of the same messages that I have to follow and everybody should follow. And in the POCs, particularly because everybody's so close together.
UNMISS hopes that consistent messaging will help get people to adopt preventive behavior.
And that's the program today. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Teniola Shoboali.